Hello, I'm Keith Ghostland.
I'm Linda Quinlan.
I'm Ann Charles. Welcome to All Things LGBTQ 7th Anniversary Show. We're taping in Montpelier, Vermont, which we know is unceded Indigenous land. It's Tuesday, October 15th. So let's turn it over to Keith.
And as you might notice from the addition to our usual decorations, this is our 7th anniversary. And very apropos, we started taping right after the 2016 election, which was tumultuous, and we're looking at a long night again, but hopefully with a better outcome. And just to clarify, All Things LGBTQ was Linda's idea. So if you want to blame anyone,
I'm responsible.
we're just the co-conspirators. So this is LGBTQ plus History Month. And the first part of the trivia question is, this was the first BIPOC LGBTQ plus member of the Vermont legislature. And for bonus points, who might that have been in the US Congress? Stay tuned. So looking at events, Rainbow Umbrella Women's Discussion Group, book discussion group, and you are still reading.
Right. Love is the Next Country by Rhonda Gerard. We've moved our meeting date
Oh,
to accommodate.
People who couldn't make it.
all right. So they need to go onto the Facebook page to see when the new schedule is.
We're a very accommodating group.
All right. And any rumblings about anything happening with the bowling group, or is that
Not
just...
yet.
Okay. But if you're interested, you might speak up. Rainbow Bridge is doing a community care day on October 20th. And go on their website to see exactly what that means and how you might be able to participate. And we'll have Zach put up the full range of all of the groups that Rainbow Bridge is currently offering, because it looks like virtually something for all of the members of our community. And they're very receptive to, if you've got a new idea, or as Linda says, I have something I'd like to do. So
Bowling.
November 1st, 7 o'clock at the Savoy. Get out your best outfit. It's the Rocky Horror Picture Show at 7 p.m. and at 9:30. Tickets are $17, and you can get them by going on the website. And it says that prop bags will be available. So I'm going to want to hear what was in your prop bag. But not to be outdone, on October 28th from 7 to 11 with a statement of, "See you if you dare," Burlington Dyke Night is treating you to your favorite treat, Fright Night.
All right.
Raffle prizes, dance party, general tomfoolery. And this is going to be at the Wallflower Collective, which is 71 South Union Street in Burlington. Now, the Vermont International Film Festival. I want to highlight two films that I saw. And the first is on Wednesday, the 23rd at 7:15, and repeating on Saturday, the 26th at 12 noon. And it's part of two films made here in Vermont, but this one got my attention. One Night at Babes, a small town dive bar called Babes. Cribbage tournaments overlap afternoons of karaoke and nights of raucous queer dance party. When the aging conservative town folks of Bethel, Vermont, and the younger queer leftists begin sharing the same water hole, a delicate alliance flourishes.
Nice.
So that should be really good. And the other, do not go past, is Sabbath Queen, and this is on Saturday the 26th at 1:15 p.m., and it's a feature documentary filmed over 21 years, and it's following one person's personal journey and their family's 38 generation rabbi dynasty, and they're coming to terms with their faith, their family, their community, and being an outrageous drag queen. So
Wow.
that should be very interesting. And going back to Babes, just a reminder, on October 31st at the White Church,
It must be a Halloween party.
it could be the Bad Drag Show featuring Rider Faster, I'm a Whore, and Lavender Homicide. You can't make that up. It's right on the poster. So with that, I'm going to move it over to you.
That's amazing. You know, I'm kind of surprised they're having the Rocky Horror Picture Show so early in the evening. Usually they show it at midnight.
Well, that's the tradition I knew in the village, but okay.
All right.
Montpelier. Everything closes early.
There you are.
Okay. So I have a new report indicates that Toyota is the latest company to seemingly backtrack on its support of LGBTQ plus causes, Pride Month, and overall DEI initiatives in an attempt to soothe its conservative customers. In the last few years, some of the largest brands in the world have started to cave to so-called anti-woke backlash and rhetoric coming from conservative groups. From beer cans being shot and thrown out to Pride March featuring drag queens being removed from retail sales. The LGBT plus community is now seeing solid evidence of what many of us have suspected all along, that for many companies, the rainbow rebranding, queer and trans-inclusive opportunities, and limited displays of allyship are mostly just hollow marketing tactics that can be swiftly squelched at any given time. So, and Florida, Sarasota Pride will be October 19th in conjunction with Manatee Day.
Even in spite of the flooding?
Well, Sarasota,
Yeah, it was hit.
the event will feature a market comprising multiple vendor booths, a drag show featuring headliner Pork Chop from RuPaul's Drag Race, a kids zone and age-appropriate activities, a pet zone and a pet pageant, an art zone, a cool-down zone, and special guests and performers including Marty, the mascot from the Brandon Marauders and Stillwalkers, and a street dance presented by Z Machine. So if you're there on October 19th, you might want to go. Well, when it comes out to LGBTQ history, the gay dating app Grindr, this is good, wants to ensure that queer adults have a small fountain of knowledge at their disposal. That's why they're launching a new 8-part documentary series, Daddy Lessons. Beginning on October 8, Daddy Lessons, which celebrates LGBTQ plus History Month in October, began its month-long rollout. The 2 1-minute or so long episodes covering everything from the hanky code to gay codes, with the disco demolition thrown in, will drop every week on Tuesdays and Thursdays throughout October. We're here to get gay history across in a way that's fun, accessible, and true to our experiences. Daddy Lessons host Clayton Littlewood explains in his bio on Grindr website, I come from a generation of survivors. AIDS decimated my generation in the 80s and 90s. For those of us left, it's time to give back. It's time to tell our stories, to keep our history alive. Daddy Lessons is available to view on Instagram, YouTube Shorts, and TikTok. I don't think the ladies are included.
It doesn't sound like it.
No. At a recent campaign event in Bloomington, Indiana's Republican Lieutenant Governor Maca Beckwith made clear the extreme direction he plans to take the state if elected. Beckwith, speaking at the Monroe County Republican Party off October 1st dinner meeting, announced plans to fire state employees who use pronouns in their email signatures,
Oh, wow.
framing the practice as a marker of far-left ideology, according to the video uploaded to YouTube by the Bloomingtonian. His remarks are part of a broader attack on LGBTQ plus rights and personal freedom in Indiana, raising serious concerns about the future of workplace inclusion and the state's economy. It's getting bad out there, folks. Longtime LGBTQ allies, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and his wife Gwen will join events focused on mobilizing voters who identify as LGBTQ plus and their supporters. The Harris-Walz campaign is leaning heavily on Vice President Kamala Harris and her running mates' staunch support for marginalized communities as part of a 10-day blitz to rally voters in crucial battleground states. The strategic effort, organized in partnership with the Human Rights Campaign, Out for Harris-Walz and Pennsylvania Democrats, strive to boost voter turnout before the high-stakes election.
Kamala.
Yeah, Kamala.
Did you see where the Advocate today endorsed Kamala?
Oh, really? No.
Yeah, they formally
Who
came
did?
out. The Advocate
Advocate.
formally came out endorsing her.
Good.
And for my last story, and then we'll move on to you, the National Football League is donating another $100,000 to the Trevor Project. Gay former NFL player Carl Nesbitt announced Friday on National Coming Out Day. So that's good news. Okay, Ian, what you
right.
got?
I have a wide array of stories to share with you.
I've
Starting-
seen some of them. They're very good.
Well, I'd like to start by thanking my two co-hosts for giving me this story, even though it takes place in the U.S. It involves two male flamingos
Yes.
who are now the first-time dads after they hatched an egg together at the San Diego Zoo Safari Park. Let's look at a picture of them with the hatched egg. No one has been named, which frustrates me. In Europe, everybody's named, but I couldn't find a name of any of them.
Oh,
But the
my.
pair has perfected their fatherly duties by alternating brooding responsibilities, the zoo wrote. The two dads are in their 40s, according to the zoo. They're
40s.
both lesser flamingos, which is a species found in sub-Saharan Africa and Western India. So I thought we'd highlight their heritage and give me an excuse to report on it. The chick is also a lesser flamingo. I don't like the name of that breed.
No.
At hatching, a chick is about the size of a tennis ball and has gray down feathers instead of the distinctive pink.
Yeah.
The lesser flamingo foster parents raising the chick were sitting on a nest earlier this year, according to the zoo. Care specialists gave them a fake egg as a way to keep them occupied and stop them from interfering with other nests. The flamingos did such a good job caring for their fake egg that wildlife specialists decided to give them a real fertile egg. The foster dads have been feeding the chick crop milk, which comes from the parent's upper digestive tract. This is a little TMI. Both males and females can feed the chick this way, and even flamingos that are not parents can act as foster feeders. The begging calls the hungry chick makes are believed to simulate the secretion of the milk. Feeding chicks can actually impact the color of the parent's feathers. Feeding can drain the color of their plumage, and which will appear pale pink or even white until the chick becomes independent and eats on its own. The foster dads will start to wean the chick when it's around 2 months old. Now, let's cover some hallowed ground. The flamingos aren't the first to care for fake eggs.
No.
An eagle in Missouri bird sanctuary went viral after he tried to hatch a rock. Vulture dads have hatched eggs together, and so have penguin dads, as we know. Earlier this year, 2 male flamingos at a UK zoo, and I reported on this, and it's interesting because they named the flamingos. They are Curtis and Arthur. They hatched a chick. At that time, the zoo said it wasn't sure how the flamingos had acquired the chick. Regarding this same-sex parenting,
They probably stole it.
maybe. We aren't entirely sure how this has come about, although it is a known phenomenon in Chilean flamingos as well as other bird flocks. A zookeeper named Pete Smallbone said, "The most likely scenario is that the egg was abandoned by another couple, so this pair have adopted it." So that's more positive spin than stealing it.
Yeah.
Okay, that was delightful, I must say. Now let's go to...
I wonder why parents would abandon.
They had more than one egg, so they could only really take care of one.
Maybe
I was
they're
going to say, on previous shows, you've given a bit of an explanation for how an egg might become abandoned.
Yeah, well, yeah. It could be that the birth parents aren't cut out for parenting. I don't know. It's all speculation, but interesting. So let's now go to South Korea, where good things are happening, sort of. A protest is underway. Same-sex couples make a push for marriage equality. 11 gay and lesbian couples will attempt to register their marriages in South Korea on Friday, expecting to launch a legal process they hope will get the country to recognize marriage equality. And let's look at a picture of them. The couples expect the local authorities will decline to register their marriages because South Korea doesn't have same-sex unions. They plan to file a lawsuit if they can't register and eventually force the Constitutional Court to give a ruling. All this activism is really important. One of the women planning to register described at a news conference on Thursday how a verdict in favor of marriage equality would be much more than symbolic for her family. She said she has no legal relationship with her daughter, who was born to her partner through IVF. "I worry that in an emergency, I may not be recognized as my daughter's legal guardian," she said. "Most of all, I fear that if something happened to my wife, I would lose my daughter too." Such lawsuits are rare in South Korea, and couples expect their petition could take 5 years to wind through the courts. This is why resilience is important too in these actions. Public support for marriage equality has grown in South Korea over the years, up from 17% in 2001 to around 40% last year. Activists scored a legal victory in July when a court ruled that it was discriminatory for state health insurers to treat same-sex couples differently from heterosexual common-law couples who are allowed joint coverage, and I remember reporting on that. The former lawmaker who introduced the country's first marriage equality bill in May 2023 said that things were also changing in Parliament, even if the law did not pass. Around a quarter of South Korea's population identifies as Christian, and there has been a vocal opposition to any recognition of same-sex marriage from such groups, purportedly on religious grounds. But, you know, they're stirring the pot, which is very good.
Good, that's where you have to go. You have to just keep doing it.
And wait.
How
you
long
know,
did
be
we do
patient.
it? A long time. If you have clips, you might want to consider doing them.
Well, I thought I'd finish Asia. My 2 clips are from Europe.
Okay, but
That's all right. I've got it
All
planned. My next Asian story, and the second of 2, is that Taiwan officially registers the first ever cross-strait gay marriage. And remember, I talked about this at length last time. Let's look at a picture now of these this first couple. Ryan, who's on the right, a 38-year-old from Zhaozhang, resident there, and Rai, a 48-year-old from Beijing. They registered their, and you can see a picture of them celebrating because they got all their papers and everything. They became the island's first ever legally married cross-strait same-sex couples, a landmark development in the push for full marriage equality. The couple received the long-awaited paperwork, and we see them celebrating when they got that, By the way, their names are pseudonyms. It actually feels very unreal, finally winning this moment, because we've been waiting for a long time. They registered their marriage in the U.S. in November 2019. Taiwan, as we know, became the first place in Asia to legalize same-sex marriages in 2019, and last year it changed its previous interpretation to recognize gay marriages between its citizens and their foreign partners, even if the other countries don't allow such unions. However, most cross-strait couples were treated as exceptions. Before registering their marriage, the couple was separately, and this is the procedure I described last time. They were separately interviewed by Taiwan authorities to confirm the authenticity of their marriage in a third country and verify Rai does not present any security or intelligence risks. Asked about the interview process, Rai said he did not have an opinion about how to evaluate a political issue, but as long as the procedure is followed, he's optimistic. Now, Europe, and this is the bulk of my reporting. And I'll start with an important.
Are you going to do the clip?
No. Linda, you anticipate.
Well,
All right.
don't.
EU nations must recognize legal gender changes across the bloc, a top court has ruled. Let me show you a picture of Romanian activist holding a trans flag in 2019. So trans activism is alive and well in Romania. The European Court sided with Arian Mirsafi Ahi, and let's look at a picture of him now. He's a transgender man who sued his country of Romania for refusing to accept the name and gender identity changes he initiated in Britain when Britain was still in the EU. The court agreed that Romania violated his rights to citizenship and free movement by refusing to update his Romanian identity documents. It's really quite amazing, he told the Washington Post. The 32-year-old who lives in Cambridge, England, and works as a science tutor is hopeful he can return to Romania with new identity documents. So the ruling, the ease of obtaining a gender recognition certificate varies widely within the EU countries, including Belgium, Ireland, and Spain. These countries permit people to self-declare. Other countries such as Cyprus, Latvia, and Slovakia require sterilization or surgical interventions. Bulgaria and Hungary, meanwhile, don't allow changes to gender identity at all. But Romania, so more about Mr. Mustafa Ali. He moved to the UK in 2008, became a British citizen in 2016, the year of the Brexit referendum, and received a gender recognition certificate 4 years later when Britain was on its way out. So the court said it doesn't matter what Britain was doing, his rights still apply. He was denied a birth certificate and identity card, which Romanians need for everyday transportation and going to the bank and so forth. The court acknowledged that EU residency rights are awarded to spouses and that spouse was gender neutral. This is the EU court. There was a marriage case that the EU court ruled in favor of, but the spouse still isn't recognized. So it all depends on implementation. This is an important legislative breakthrough, though.
Okay, Keith.
So we're in the countdown to the election, like 2 weeks kind of countdown. In Vermont, we may think that how we're going to vote and who we're going to bring into office is pretty much, we know who's going to prevail in each race. I want to challenge that and say you need to look at the down ballot races. And as we were talking before we started taping, the gubernatorial candidate may be saying to voters, you need to elect common sense legislators who will work with the current incumbent unreasonable change. Let me give you a slightly different opinion. It might be nice if the current incumbent sent people to work with the money committees while they are debating
Yes.
budgets and initiatives so they can hear the administration's input from the beginning rather than after they have already completed the process.
You want to name names?
No, I don't think I need to. But I want people to look at the down ballot races because we have 10 incumbent out representatives who are running and one brand new one. And I have concerns about Chittenden Grand Isle, and this is Josie Levitt's seat. This seat has gone back and forth. This is the district that first elected Mitzi Johnson, who went on to become Speaker of the House and very effective. But when they felt she was not paying attention to the district, voted her out of office and voted in an uncle-nephew Republican candidates. In the last election, Josie unseated one of them. They are both running again. This is going
It's
to
a
be
swing county.
this is going to be a close race, and this is definitely one of get the vote out. And we only have 2 out members of the Senate who are running. And of course, when we look at our out candidates, there's Becca Ballant, who is running for the Congress, and Michael Pichek, who is running for treasurer. And there may be an interview with Michael coming up that you may want to hear some of the innovative things that Mike is trying to do with the office of treasurer beyond just making sure the checkbook balances. So
Good.
the next story, this is the Fern Feather murder trial. And I am deliberately not saying the name of the alleged assailant because we need to focus on Fern. And I kind of wish that the Lamoille County State's Attorney did the same with their approach to this case. The defense has asked for a delay because the state's attorney on 2 occasions failed to provide evidence to the defense to which the defense was entitled. And therefore, the defense is saying, wait a minute, we need additional time because we need to look at for our own experts to refute the evidence that you are giving. And one of the pieces of evidence that the judge who is overseeing this case is saying cannot be admitted because it was not provided to the defense in a timely manner might have been a letter written by the alleged perpetrator while they were in corrections, talking about a plan to engage in sexual relations with their attorney and then claim she assaulted him. Sound familiar? The judge in this case admonished the state for not doing their job, not following, and let me say this clearly, standard procedure. And the judge made a statement that, she did not see where the state's attorney had any animosity or ill will towards the defendant. How about not paying attention to the victim?
Yeah.
Not paying attention to this is a transgender woman who was killed, and the state's attorney is not doing what should be their routine job. What's the problem here? So
I think we need to find out.
So the judge has granted the delay because there was no basis not to. Now they're negotiating exactly how long that delay may be. This trial was supposed to have started this week. It may not start until the spring. So it's lost ground and it's lost some key evidence. But on a positive note, Outright Vermont had their 21st annual fire truck pull. They had a fundraising goal of $200,000.
And they won't.
They raised $216,000
Good.
as of the last count, and there was still money coming in. So I want you to hold on to that, because on the next show, because I know time is a consideration for us, I'm going to talk about the case before the U.S. Supreme Court on providing health care to transgender youth. This is challenging the Tennessee law. Also, we're going to talk some about the suit coming out of New Hampshire, where the Court of Appeals block their implementing the ban on transgender athletes, and what the opposition might be doing in response to that. And then we'll talk a little bit about drag queen story hours in Massachusetts, that they're having to shut them down because the oppositions are phoning in bomb threats.
It's not like they don't do that.
It's not like it don't happen.
I know.
And is the person phoning in the threat even in Massachusetts?
Exactly.
Or even in the district? So with that,
You know, in some ways I say, well, just go ahead and do it anyway, but you really can't take the chance. You know what I mean? It's just,
because the one time that you don't take it seriously
I
is
know,
the one
that's
time
what'll
something
happen.
happens.
Yeah.
And usually when there's a threat phoned in, there are demonstrators outside, and who knows what they might do.
exactly.
So,
Well, in one of the few mentions of LGBTQ rights on the presidential trail this year, Harris discussed her support of marriage equality and the need to be aware of its threats in an interview with Howard Stern. Stern brought up the threats, and Harris noted that Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas said he was ready to overturn, is it
Obergefell.
Obergefell versus Hodges, the court's 2015 marriage equality ruling, after the justices overturned Roe versus Wade 2 years ago. That would take the case getting to the court. But the threat is there, especially Donald Trump is elected president and has the opportunity to appoint additional conservative judges. So,
and they're thinking that the next president may appoint up to 3 additional judges,
yeah,
looking at retirement age, all of that.
yeah. And out U.S. Senator Tammy Baldwin's Republican challenger and GOP super PAC are attacking her on the issues of gender-affirming care, falsely claiming that she supports gender care for people under age 16. Eric Hovind is running against Baldwin.
Hovde.
Huh?
Hovde.
Yeah. Hovde?
Yeah.
Eric Hovde is running against Baldwin, a Wisconsin Democrat, was the first out LGBTQ plus U.S. Senator. She's a lesbian. A recent ad from the Senate leadership funded Republican super PAC claimed that Baldwin supported providing puberty blockers and sex change surgeries to minor children. It's true that she supports gender-affirming care for transgender youth, but this consists of puberty blockers and other hormone treatment, not genital surgeries, which are not recommended for minors and certainly not being performed in Wisconsin. And such care is undertaken only with parental consent. Oh, he sounds like a real winner. Isn't he a carpetbagger of some kind? Doesn't he live in...
I know how to pronounce the name because their family, I think, was prominent when we lived there in the 80s.
Really? Mm-hmm. Okay. The LGBTQ plus Victory Institute announced Tuesday that Kentucky State Representative Keturah Huron has been named the 2024 Tammy Baldwin Breakthrough Award winner in recognition of her political accomplishments and her status as a rising star in U.S. politics. And now this is a story that, anyway. Martina Navratilova.
Oh,
and
you're covering that. I decided not to, but please, go
Well,
ahead.
Martina was American, so.
Yeah.
Well,
But I just thought, all the covers these people get. But
I know.
Please, go ahead.
Now I'm waiting to hear what it is.
Martina Navratilova and J.K. Rowling are continuing their battle over transgender people's genitals. The out lesbian former tennis player and previously relevant author, I like the way they put that, previously relevant author, each took to Twitter X on Tuesday to attack the United Nations for an International Lesbian Day post that included transgender flag, which Navratilova claiming that there is no such thing as a trans lesbian. So,
Yeah. I have a story of mentioning JK also.
do you? Mm-hmm. Okay, so we'll just do this and see what happens. Honor Honey Daniels, a 37-year-old black transgender woman, was killed in a hit-and-run accident in Rochester, New Hampshire last Wednesday. She had been misgendered and dead-named in local media reports. The accident occurred just before midnight. Daniel was a pedestrian, and the driver who hit her left the scene. She was pronounced dead soon afterwards. The driver of the vehicle have since been identified, but no arrests have been made as of yet, and the incident and accident remain under investigation. Colin Lovett is a problem solver. The gay 24-year-old Democratic candidate has an undergrad degree in mathematics, a master's in business administration, and a professional career spanning regulatory rate optimization and corporate pharmacy and benefit management. I come from a Harvey Milk School of Politics of run, and if you don't succeed, run, and then run again. This next time, it's been so exciting because now we go door to door. People will say, oh yeah, I remember you. I voted for you in 22 and I'm voting for you again. Or we get to tell them how close the race was, and they're shocked. I had no idea that this race was so close, and we get the opportunity to describe how consequential these state legislative races are. We're only 3 seats away from breaking the Republican supermajority in the House. It was 6 seats in 2022. Okay, and I'm going to move to you, I guess. Oh, I just quickly, Women's Week is having Mary Trump speak
In Provincetown?
in Provincetown. And Denver, Vermont, I'm going to say this again, is building in 96 units in Denver Center for LGBTQ seniors. Just another little shove in that direction. And the longest lesbian bar in Denver is closing, and it's called the Blush and Blue, and it's been there for a very, very long time. And just really quickly, in Utah, you know those libraries that they put out in the street?
Yeah.
What do they call them? Anyway. They're trying to pass a law in Utah that you can't put any books that are banned in Utah in those little libraries.
And
So-
Rita Mae Brown is also coming to Women's Week in Provincetown.
Ah, okay.
Okay.
One quick headline, not pleasant but predictable. Georgia Parliament Speaker signs the law after the president refuses to sign it. That's the law I discussed at length last time. Now, let's move to one of my clips that Linda is anxious to hear about. This is a film from 2011, and it's called Kiss Me. It's Swedish. After they meet at their parents' engagement party, Mia and Frida are intrigued by and attracted to one another, despite Mia's own upcoming engagement to Tim. Mia must decide whether to continue her life with Tim or to follow her heart with Frida. So let's look at a clip for Kiss Me.
Jag är nästan lite rörd därför att Mia har just berättat för mig att Mia och Tim ska gifta sig.
Ska aldrig betala.
Lovar du det?
Klart jag lovar. Har du varit gift någon gång?
Det är redan 56 stycken som har osatt på mejlet. Det är redan 56.
Oj. Vi kan inte låtsas som om det inte har hänt. Jag är inte som du. Är du säker på det?
Jag vill bara att vårt bröllop ska vara så perfekt som det går.
Men jag kan inte känna så här för jag förstår inte det. Det går inte. Jag är bara lite trött.
Du får älska vem du vill, men inte Lasses dotter, förstår du?
Du vill väl ha barn med mig? Vi ska få gifta oss.
Tim, du kan inte planera allting. Det funkar inte så.
Nej, men det funkar då. Kan du tala om för mig hur det funkar? Kan du göra det?
Jag kommer aldrig lämna honom, fattar du det?
Gå ifrån för helvete! Ifrån för helvete!
Men du slåss ju inte för det här.
Det är väl ingen förälder som vill att ens barn ska vara bög eller flat om man nu ska vara helt uppriktig, Elisabeth.
Frida är inte normal, eller?
Okay, this should be fun.
I know, I hope it turns out the way I'd like.
And where is it playing?
Tubi, it's on Tubi for free, and you can rent it on Apple TV.
Okay.
Another good story involves Spain's first transgender soccer team that makes its debut in regional men's struggle. Oh, I'm sorry, regional men's league. I have this, yellow print. The name, well, let's look at a picture of Phoenix FC's captain, Luca Banez, speaking to his teammates before their first official soccer match in Spain last month. The team consists entirely of transgender men, and it's made its debut at a regional league in Spain, overcoming administrative challenges and prejudice to become the first trans squad to achieve federated status in Europe. The team is named Phoenix FX after the mythical bird symbolizing rebirth. It played some side games last season, but now it competes in the northwestern region of Catalonia after being incorporated into a local club in a Barcelona suburb. Spain passed a pioneering trans rights bill last year designed to make it easier to change a person's legal gender identity, but intolerance persists. With a record of 302 cases of discrimination or violence against LGBTQ people in Catalonia in 2023, a quarter of which targeted transgender victims, according to data compiled by an anti-transphobia group. Hugo Martes, 24, told Reuters he faced abuse when he began transitioning with gender-affirming hormone therapy and was forced to leave the women's soccer team in which he had played. I was a boy playing in a girls' team, but without a changed ID, so I wasn't yet allowed to play with the boys, he said, recounting how other players, coaches, and parents in the stands often hurled insults and threats at him. The experience prompted him to put a call out online for other trans men seeking to play soccer in a safe environment. Setting up Phoenix FC took 3 years. Captain Luca Banez, 19, said he was hesitant about playing for a team with cisgender or non-trans men, as he feared he would not fit in or even suffer violence. So when Martinez told him about his idea for an all-trans side, he quickly jumped on board. Phoenix is a team of trans boys created entirely by trans boys, but I think it's more than that. A family, a safe space where you can be free to express yourself however you want and however you really feel. Phoenix's first game of the season ended with a 19-0 defeat But for its fans and players, trans men having the right to play their favorite sport on equal terms is far more important than the score. So, now let's go to some very interesting story that Linda has given me has shared with me, and I've run with. I'd like to talk about Sancta, an explicit opera in Germany that is sparking controversy internationally for its combination of lesbian sex and religion, as well as its use of real blood and live piercings. Sancta features an all-women cast portraying nuns following its lead Susanna as she discovers her sexuality. The show's description states, "Some aspects of the evening may cause discomfort for certain individuals, and for others they may even be re-traumatized. The focus of the evening is on spirituality and sexuality, but also on criticism of religion and a critical examination of religious and societal violence."
Sounds delightful.
An early scene depicts Susanna having sex with a crucifix, and a later one shows another nun swallowing a crucifix sword. The show also includes Jesus, portrayed by a woman who sings tracks by Eminem and at one point spanks a half-naked nun. In one scene, a piece of performer's flesh, this is a little much for even me. In one scene, a piece of a performer's flesh is cut and grilled medium rare, according to a local newspaper, to symbolize the Eucharist, or the body of Christ. The show was originally supposed to premiere at the Stuttgart Opera House in Germany in 1921 until it was canceled for its explicit content, which featured same-sex relations. Sancta was performed in the same city of Stuttgart over a century later, beginning October 5th. And now let's take a look at a news coverage of this event.
18 audience members at the Stuttgart State Opera were treated for severe nausea and distress over the weekend following a controversial performance of Sancta, a provocative and highly graphic opera by Austrian choreographer Florentina Holzinger. The shocking incidents occurred during two performances on Saturday and Sunday, as the audience witnessed a production that featured explicit nudity, blood, and unsimulated sexual acts. The intense nature of the show, which included scenes involving real and fake blood, live body piercings, and onstage sexual intercourse, left multiple attendees feeling physically unwell. According to Sebastian Ebling, a spokesperson for the opera, 8 people required assistance on Saturday and 10 more on Sunday. In 3 cases, medical professionals had to step in to help those affected. The performance featured live body piercing, a mix of real and fake blood, and other intense content, which overwhelmed some attendees. Holzinger, 38, is famous for her boundary-pushing performances. Her previous works have included shocking acts like sword swallowing, tattooing, and the use of bodily fluids. In Sancta, her first opera, she adapted the controversial 1922 piece Sancta Susanna by Paul Hindemith, which originally told the story of a nun who experiences sexual awakening. Holzinger's version added even more provocative elements, such as naked nuns roller skating and a lesbian priest leading mass. Though the Stuttgart Opera issued warnings about the show's explicit content, including sexual acts, loud noises, and scenes of violence, many audience members were still caught off guard. Ebling advised potential viewers to read the warnings carefully and suggested that looking away during uncomfortable scenes might help. Despite the intense reactions, Sancta has been a commercial success. All upcoming shows in Stuttgart and 2 performances in Berlin are sold out, as Holzinger continues to stir debate about the role of shock in modern performance art.
I guess they probably couldn't show a clip.
Oh, a clip is coming, but let me tell you a little more.
All right.
Sancta's artistic director, Victor Schroner, stated in the show's description that exploring boundaries and, quote, crossing them with relish has always been the central task of art. The website also includes a section clarifying some of the explicit content, reading, of course, theater and opera merely imitate reality. When people love, suffer, and die on the opera stage, it's all just an act. The situation has been different in performance art for decades. Here, the performer does not embody a character. Here, the body itself is the medium. And in Florentina Holzinger works in particular, natural nudity is a central means of expression. So, for those of you who are interested, let me show you a minute clip from Sancta.
Is it coming to the States?
I don't think so.
Really?
There's a little bit of turmoil in Germany. Wow. But it's sold out, as the clip said.
I can imagine it would be sold out.
I have 3 more stories. What do I have time for?
We have time for maybe one more short story, and then we're going to move to trivia and etc. So.
Okay, I have a good one. I'm overlooking some.
Next week.
All right, next week, sure. There was a anti-trans gathering in London. The anti-trans advocacy group known as LGB Alliance reportedly had its annual conference interrupted by thousands of unexpected guests on Friday in London, the guests being an orchestra of crickets. Journalist Michael Baggs posted a video of the incident to X, writing, when someone released a box of crickets in the LGBT Alliance Hall, warning, scroll no further if you have any entomophobia. The LGB Alliance was founded in 2019 as a trans-exclusionary alternative to Stonewall, the largest LGBTQ advocacy organization in Europe. Anti-trans activist Jamie Reed was reportedly about to speak when the bugs were dumped. Reed was a former caseworker who has since pivoted to becoming a whistleblower speaking out against transgender-affirming care. The conference was hosted by an opening message by J.K. Rowling, who was met with applause when she stated during her remarks, lesbians don't have penises. Kids, it appears...
She's not even a lesbian.
It appears that the activists behind the cricket chaos are trans kids deserve better, a UK trans rights group, and let's look at a picture of them. On Instagram, the group posted a satirical video of someone in a cricket costume reporting the breaking news of the incident. Our sources at the scene tell us the talk by Jamie Reed on taking away trans health care was stopped by these brave bugs with thousands of six-legged friends hopping about in protest, the cricket said. Last month, Trans Kids Deserve Better made headlines for establishing an encampment outside the London headquarters of the UK Department of Education, demanding greater protection for trans students.
Funny.
So that's a colorful way
Yes,
to end my
it is.
coverage.
Crickets. Who's afraid of crickets?
It's not what I would have thought of doing, but there we are.
And I had a picture of the crickets, but I'm not showing it. I have too many pictures of that.
Okay.
Okay, so looking at the trivia, LGBTQ plus History Month, and I didn't, I wanted to do something more focused. It was what was the first BIPOC LGBTQ plus member of our legislature.
We all got it wrong, Ann and I.
Yep.
I know.
But they knew the answer because it's Deanna Gonzalez, who was a guest on our show more than once. She was a progressive elected from Chittenden 6-7, which is the Winooski district. She was elected in 2014.
Oh, quickly we forget.
There we go. And as for the Vermont Senate, we have yet to see a BIPOC LGBTQ plus person elected to serve in our Senate. Looking at the U.S. Congress and the House, it was Mark Takano, who identifies as Asian American. He comes out of the 39th Congressional District in California. He was elected in 2012. The Senate, the first BIPOC LGBTQ plus senator, was only last year. And it was LaFonza Butler, who was appointed by Governor Newsom to replace Dianne Feinstein to complete her term. And LaFonza has already said that she is not going to seek re-election. So she will be a short term, but the first BIPOC LGBTQ plus member of our Senate. So with that...
Well, this is our happy, how many?
7.
7.
Happy 7th to us.
Happy 7, and happy out there. And remember, no matter what happens in the election,
Resist.
resist.